DMK MP Dayanidhi Maran ignites a firestorm with his North-South comparison, says women in Tamil Nadu are encouraged to study while their counterparts in North India are told to work in the kitchen and bear children. At least 500 stray dogs poisoned to death in Telangana, sparking massive outrage. The Telangana police initiate legal action against over a dozen individuals, including village heads, in one of the largest crackdowns on animal cruelty in the state. Big win for two Indian students in the United States. Two PhD students at the University of Colorado Boulder win a civil rights settlement worth $200,000 after facing racial discrimination over palak paneer. Petitions filed by the Enforcement Directorate and Trinamool Congress in connection with the recent IPAC raids dismissed by the Calcutta High Court. The tussle now reaches the Supreme Court. Vijay's TVK slams the BJP, rejects an alliance amid Karur probe. Actor brands the BJP the enemy. His film Jana Nayagan misses the Pongal release. Battle moves to the Supreme Court. Amid Trump's annexation threat, Greenland's Prime Minister says we choose Denmark over the United States. Trump issues yet another threat, says big problem looms for the island. As Iran plans to begin executing protesters, US President Donald Trump warns the regime of very strong action. Reports say over 2,500 protesters have been killed in the Islamic Republic's brutal crackdown. Is an Islamic NATO quietly taking shape? Turkey is set to join the Pakistan-Saudi Arabia military pact. A NATO-style defense clause sets alarm bells ringing in New Delhi. Hello and welcome to the Times of India. You're watching Headlines at 8 with me, Neha Khanna. Our top story. DMK MP Dayanidhi Maran has stirred a major row with a very unflattering comparison between North India and the southern states. Comparing North Indian women and Tamil Nadu women, the four-time MP said that while women in Tamil Nadu are asked to study, their counterparts in North India are asked to work in the kitchen and bear children. Addressing students at a women's college, Dayanidhi Maran said, "Our girls ought to be confident and proud with a laptop, whether you attend an interview or pursue post-graduation. That confidence is in Tamil Nadu, where we ask girls to study. What do they say in the north? Girls, don't go to work. Stay at home, be in the kitchen, bear a child. That's your job." Lavishing praise on his state of Tamil Nadu, Maran went on to say, "No, this is Tamil Nadu, a Dravidian state, the land of Kalainar, Anna and Chief Minister M.K. Stalin. Here your progress is Tamil Nadu's progress. That's why global companies come to Chennai, because everyone here is educated not just in Tamil but in English as well. They lead. The government plays a key role in women's progress." The DMK MP went on to state that Tamil Nadu is the best state in India and M.K. Stalin is the country's best chief minister. That's not all. Slamming states which he says encourage students to study only Hindi while discouraging English education. Maran claims such students end up with poor employment prospects and that results in large-scale migration to southern states. Maran stated, "You're asked not to study English and told you will be ruined if you do. You will be kept as slaves." He added, "Today all the top global companies are coming to Tamil Nadu because of educated people." Dayanidhi Maran's remarks have drawn a sharp response from the BJP. Narayan Tirupati, BJP spokesperson in Tamil Nadu, said, "Once again, Dayanidhi Maran has abused North Indian people. I feel very bad about how these people are allowed to do this, although this is regular from the DMK. I don't think Dayanidhi Maran has common sense." BJP leader Anila Singh said Maran's remarks are unfortunate. She went on to say he has forgotten that he lives in Bharat and Bharat worships Shakti. If he thinks that Shakti can be divided into North, South, East and West, he doesn't understand our culture. I want to ask him about what women in the party he has allied with, about Sonia Gandhi or Priyanka Gandhi Vadra or our President Draupadi Murmu. This divisive politics is not going to work. Amidst the controversy, the DMK has defended Maran's remarks. Party leader TKS Ilan Govind has said, "Here in Tamil Nadu, we fought for women and empowered them. We gave them education, we gave them employment. We have also reserved seats for them in government jobs. We've been working for the advancement of women's rights from the beginning. In the north, there's nobody to fight for the women." Reports that at least 500 stray dogs have been poisoned to death in Telangana in just the last few days have sent shockwaves through the state and left dog lovers everywhere outraged. One such incident has been captured on camera. The Telangana police say they have intensified their investigation into the mass killing of stray dogs, initiating legal action against 15 individuals, including 7 village heads, across the Hanamkonda and Kamareddy districts. This marks one of the largest crackdowns on animal cruelty in the state's history. The suspects are accused of orchestrating a coordinated culling operation to fulfill a controversial local election promise to rid the villages of the stray dog menace. Reports say during recent Gram Panchayat elections, several candidates promised a dog-free village to residents who have been frustrated by a spike in incidents of stray dog attacks. The dogs were injected with a lethal substance that killed them instantly. In one particular video from the Dharmapuri municipality in the Jaktial district, a man can be seen injecting a dog with poison. Within a minute, the dog collapsed. 2 other dog carcasses are also visible on the street. At least 50 dogs were reportedly killed in this municipality alone about 2 weeks ago. In Hanmakonda, senior police officials say about 110 dog carcasses have been dug out. The police investigation has pinpointed 15 key figures allegedly responsible for the animal massacre. 7 sarpanches recently elected from their villages are accused of authorizing the culls. Gram Panchayat secretaries and staff members reportedly facilitated the logistics and hired professional dog catchers for the mass culling. 3 private contractors were reportedly employed to carry out the killings via lethal injections and poisoned bait. On Tuesday, the Supreme Court took a stern view of the institutional failure regarding the stray dog menace, warning state governments of heavy compensation for dog bite injuries and deaths. However, it reiterated that killing dogs is illegal and unacceptable. Palak Paneer has got 2 Indian students a settlement worth $200,000 in the United States. You heard that right. 2 Indian PhD students at the University of Colorado Boulder have won a civil rights settlement worth $200,000, which is approximately 1.8 crore rupees. Why? Because these students had faced systemic racial discrimination over their choice of eating Indian food. The lawsuit relates to a 2023 incident when Aditya Prakash was pursuing a PhD at the university's anthropology department. On 5th September 2023, about a year after joining the university, Prakash said he was heating his lunch that contained palak paneer in a microwave at the department, where a female staff member walked up to him, complained about the smell of the palak paneer and told him not to use the microwave to heat the food. She claimed the smell was pungent. Prakash says he tried arguing that it was a common space and he too had the right to access it. Prakash argues, "My food is my pride, and notions about what smells good or bad to someone are culturally determined." He says one of the facility members tried to argue that even broccoli heating was prohibited because of the strong odor, to which Prakash replied, "Context matters. How many groups of people do you know who face racism because they eat broccoli?" The matter soon escalated, with Prakash's partner Urmi Bhattacharya supporting him. The couple alleged they were subjected to discrimination for standing their ground. Prakash says he was repeatedly called into meetings with senior faculty over accusations that he made the staff member feel unsafe. Bhattacharya says she was fired from her teaching assistant position without an explanation for supporting Prakash. Prakash recounts, "The department also refused to grant us master's degrees that PhD students are awarded en route to the PhD. That's when we decided to seek legal recourse." In their lawsuit against the university, Prakash and Bhattacharya allege that after the kitchen dispute, the university withheld their master's degrees which they had earned. They also alleged that they were subjected to a hostile environment that hampered their academic progress. The lawsuit argued that the university's reaction to their cultural food was a manifestation of deeper systemic bias against international students. Finally, in September last year, the University of Colorado Boulder paid the couple $200,000, settling the case and conferring their master's degrees on them. However, the two have been barred from future enrollment or employment at the university. Bhattacharya took to Instagram to share her story. She wrote, "This year I fought a fight for the freedom to eat what I want and to protest at will, no matter the color of my skin, my ethnic extraction, or the unflinchingly unchanged Indian accent. I endured startling health reversals I had never encountered before. The steady chipping away at and eroding of self-respect and confidence that I had always jealously safeguarded, that no one had ever dared to touch before. I will not be humbled by injustices. I will not be silent in the face of deliberate upheavals. I will certainly not kowtow. The internet has hailed the couple's quest for justice and called it a win against racism. In other news, Greenland has categorically ruled out joining the United States in the face of US President Donald Trump's persistent threats to annex the island. Greenland says it chooses to be with Denmark. Greenland's Prime Minister, Jens Frederik Nielsen, has said, given a choice between the United States and Denmark, the island would choose to be part of the European nation, suggesting that the island is putting its independence plans on the back burner for now. At a joint press conference with Danish Prime Minister Mette Frederiksen in Copenhagen, Nielsen said, "We're now facing a geopolitical crisis, and if we have to choose between the United States and Denmark here and now, then we choose Denmark. We choose Greenland as we know it today, which is part of the Kingdom of Denmark." Donald Trump is demanding to take control of Greenland, either through economic means or military force. Reacting to Nielsen's comments, Trump issued yet another threat, saying this stance could create a big problem for Greenland. Trump said, "That's their problem. I disagree with them. I don't know who he is, don't know anything about him, but that's going to be a big problem for him." Nielsen has said the situation is very serious and called the threats from the Trump administration to annex the island completely out of line. The Greenland Prime Minister's remarks come ahead of a crucial meeting between Danish and Greenlandic foreign ministers and US Secretary of State Marco Rubio and US Vice President J.D. Vance in Washington. The stated aim for the talks is to help defuse the administration's renewed threats towards Greenland and begin repairing strained ties of the strategically important island.
Greenland said today, we prefer to stay with Denmark. Do you see that as the
Who
final
said
word?
that?
The Premier of Greenland.
Well, that's their problem. That's their problem. I disagree with him. I don't know who he is. Don't know anything about him. But that's going to be a big problem for him.
Donald Trump has issued a blunt warning over Greenland, a warning aimed not at a rival power, but at the island's own prime minister. Trump says he does not even know him, yet claims the man now has a big problem because Greenland chose Denmark over the United States. This is no longer diplomatic theater. It is an open confrontation over territory, power, and the Arctic future. Speaking to reporters at Joint Base Andrews, President Donald Trump dismissed Greenland's prime minister outright. Trump said he disagreed with Greenland's position and did not know Jens Frederik Nielsen at all, but he warned that Nielsen's stance would bring serious consequences. The remarks followed a dramatic show of unity in Copenhagen. Danish Prime Minister Mette Frederiksen stood shoulder to shoulder with Greenland's leader. Together, they rejected Trump's long-running ambition to acquire the Arctic island. Greenland's Prime Minister left little room for interpretation. He said that if forced to choose between the United States and Denmark, the choice was Denmark. He also said Greenland chooses NATO, the European Union, and the Kingdom of Denmark.
That one cannot simply purchase another people. And it's fundamentally about small nations not having to live in fear of larger ones. That is precisely why we clearly state our objection. And that is why many of our allies are doing the same in the Nordic region, in Europe, and across the rest of the world. We are standing up not just for ourselves, but for the world order that previous generations also built. And our democracy, tomorrow, Greenland and Denmark will meet with the USA. We come together, we stay together, and we go together. We want dialogue and we want to cooperate. We are not looking for conflict, but the message we want to convey is very clear. Greenland is not for sale. We have made that perfectly clear right from the very beginning, just as we, since the very outset of all these discussions, have explicitly told the Americans that if the primary concern is security, then there is significantly more that we can and absolutely must accomplish jointly, and we fully intend to reiterate this point during our meeting tomorrow. Because, of course, we wish to strengthen our cooperation regarding security in the Arctic with the United States of America, with NATO, with Europe, and with the Arctic NATO member states. And just as the Baltic countries, for instance, are not left alone to defend NATO's eastern flank against Russia, because it is indeed a shared concern for the entire alliance, the very same principle applies in the Arctic. NATO must protect and defend Greenland just as much as any other millimeter of NATO's territory. And this security guarantee is the very best defense against China or Russia as a potential threat in the Arctic. Dear Greenlanders, you must know that we stand united. We are doing that today. We will do that tomorrow, and we will continue to do so.
Greenland won't be owned by the USA. Greenland will not be governed by the USA.
Greenland won't be part of the USA.
We select the Greenland we know today,
and which is a part of the Kingdom of Denmark.
We are now facing a geopolitical crisis, and if we are to choose between the US and Denmark at this very moment,
So we choose Denmark.
we choose NATO, we choose the Kingdom of Denmark, we choose the European Union.
For the past year, we, Greenland and Denmark, have had to manage a truly unprecedented and challenging situation. We have succeeded in doing so together. We have taken significant initiatives to further enhance and strengthen security in the Arctic region. We have significantly tightened the bonds between us within the kingdom, and we have actively built even closer alliances with our partners and allies across the entire world. It hasn't been easy to stand up to an utterly unacceptable pressure from our closest allies for a generation, but much suggests the hardest part now lies ahead of us.
And it has, throughout this entire process, become increasingly clear.
Even though it is the Greenlanders who first and foremost feel the insecurity, and even though we, throughout the entire Commonwealth, have had to listen to many insults, there is something much more fundamental at stake here.
Those comments landed just hours before crucial talks in Washington. Danish and Greenlandic officials are scheduled to meet U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance. They are also due to meet Secretary of State Marco Rubio. Trump's response was swift and uncompromising. He said Greenland's position was their problem and warned it would become a big problem for its leader personally.
Greenland said today, we prefer to stay with Denmark. Do you see that as the
Who
final
said
word?
that?
The Premier of Greenland.
Well, that's their problem. That's their problem. I disagree with them. I don't know who he is, don't know anything about him, but that's going to be a big problem for him.
This confrontation marks a new peak in Trump's Arctic push. For years, Trump has argued the United States must control Greenland. He claims it is essential to block Chinese or Russian influence in the region.
US President Donald Trump has encouraged Iranians to keep protesting, saying help is on its way. This comes amidst a bloody crackdown, which according to activists has claimed at least 2,000 lives. The US President has also warned the theocratic regime in Tehran against executing protesters, saying the US would take very strong action against Iran if its authorities go ahead with the threatened hangings. Iran is reportedly set to execute its first protester following mass arrests in connection with the widespread anti-regime demonstrations. 26-year-old Irfan Sultani, who was arrested last week during the protests near the capital, Tehran, is scheduled to be hanged without getting any trial, according to human rights groups. Meanwhile, White House envoy Steve Witkoff met with Iran's exiled former Crown Prince Reza Pahlavi secretly over the weekend to discuss the protests raging in Iran. Pahlavi, who has spent nearly 5 decades in exile, has emerged as a rallying figure in the protests shaking the Islamic Republic. Rights groups have accused the Iranian government of fatally shooting protesters and masking the scale of the crackdown with an internet blackout. Trump, who has told the protesters in Iran that help is on its way, has also stated that the United States would act if Iran begins hanging protesters. Trump said in an interview, "We will take very strong action if they do such a thing. When they start killing thousands of people, and now you're telling me about hanging, we'll see how that's going to work out for them." On Tuesday, Trump wrote on his Truth Social platform, urging Iranians to keep protesting, adding, "I have cancelled all meetings with Iranian officials until the senseless killing of protesters stops. Help is on its way." According to the US-based human rights activist news agency, the number of dead climbed to at least 2,500 by early Wednesday. Iranian officials have labeled the protesters terrorists, blaming them for the deaths of civilians and security personnel.
Iran said that the last time I blew them up with the nuclear capability, which they don't have any longer. So Iran said that the last time. They better behave. Iran is on my mind when I see the kind of death that is happening over there, we think. So we're going to get some accurate numbers. I'll have it in about 20 minutes. We'll get some accurate numbers as to what's happening with regard to the killing. The killing looks like it's significant, but we don't know yet for certain. I'll know within 20 minutes.
Donald Trump says everything now hinges on a single number: how many protesters are dead in Iran and what that number could set in motion. With the country locked down under a sweeping internet blackout, the US president says America is waiting for confirmation before deciding its next move. Speaking to reporters at Joint Base Andrews, Trump said the scale of the killings appears serious, but warned that accuracy is non-negotiable. No action, he said, will come without verified facts, even as reports of mass casualties continue to mount. Trump told reporters he was returning to the White House, where he expected a briefing detailing how many protesters have been killed since unrest erupted last month. A task made far more difficult, he acknowledged, by Iran's near-total shutdown of communications. The president said clarity would come quickly, within minutes, and repeated that once the facts are known, the United States will respond accordingly. His words come after days of escalating rhetoric, with Trump warning that Iran would pay the price amid reports that hundreds may already be dead. Those warnings have fueled speculation of US intervention, but when pressed on what that response might look like, Trump struck a more cautious note. He said Iran appeared to be badly misbehaving, while stressing that judgment and action would wait until the numbers are certain.
Iran is on my mind when I see the kind of death that is happening over there, we think. So we're going to get some accurate numbers. I'll have it in about 20 minutes. We'll get some accurate numbers as to what's happening with regard to the killing. The killing looks like it's significant, but we don't know yet for certain. I'll know within 20 minutes. So, and we'll act accordingly.
How can you ensure that U.S. airstrikes, if it comes to that, will have the result of protecting the protesters?
Well, you never know, do you? You never know.
Do you think it's...
So far, my track record's been excellent, but you never know.
Do you think it's going to be something kinetic like that, or more like cyber? Or
well, I can't tell you that. I know exactly what it would be. We have to make a decision.
Certain.
But I can't be. Obviously, I can't be telling you.
Iran says that it will retaliate in the instance of U.S. strikes against U.S. assets in the Middle East. What do you say to U.S. service members about why it's worth the risk to intervene in Iran?
Yeah, Iran said that the last time I blew them up with the nuclear capability, which they don't have any longer. So Iran said that the last time. They better behave.
So, Mr. President, on Iran, do you have a message for the leaders currently of Iran?
Yeah, the message is they've got to show humanity. They've got a big problem, and I hope they're not going to be killing people. And I'm going to have a report very soon. It would seem to me that they have been badly misbehaving, but that is not confirmed.
Sir, you mentioned the 1980 hostage rescue effort that ended in disaster.
Well, it was a disaster for Jimmy Carter. They had all sorts of problems, and the helicopters were crashing and everything. You know what it was? The exact opposite of Venezuela. Do you agree with that? Do you agree? As a reporter, who are you with? Who are you with?
I'm with the Financial Times, sir.
Oh, good. Well, that's a nice paper.
So are you committing not to sending U.S. troops into Iran?
Why would I tell you that? Why would I?
Mr. President,
I don't talk about military strategy with a reporter, you know?
Mr. President,
even though I do like the Financial Times.
are you consulting with our allies regarding Iran? What are they telling you, and why do you think the Iranian...
Well, I'm not going to tell you what they're telling me.
Why do you think the Iranian leadership continues to defy you, Mr. President?
You think they are?
Well,
it's only been a couple of days.
They continue to kill protesters.
Well, they said that about Venezuela, too, you know? It's only been a couple of days. They haven't defied me. They haven't done anything as far as we're concerned. But it looks like they're killing a lot of people, but it has not been confirmed. I'll know very soon.
Do you want to see democracy in Iran?
Ideally, you'd like to see it, but what we want to see is we don't want to see people killed, and We want to see a little bit of freedom for these people. These people have been living in hell for a long time. That used to be a hell of a country. I have friends that used to invest in Iran, and they did well with their investments. It was a great place. The people were great. Even the leadership was good. And now it's living in hell.
Earlier, Trump used his Truth Social platform to address Iranians directly, promising that help is on the way.
Is an Islamic NATO taking shape in our unquiet world? Global strategic circles are on alert as Turkey has reportedly moved to join a powerful defense pact between Pakistan and Saudi Arabia, raising alarm in New Delhi. If sealed, the alliance could redraw security equations from South Asia to the Middle East, creating a new military bloc outside Western control. The pact, signed in September last year, includes a collective defense clause mirroring NATO's Article 5. Reports say talks on Turkey's entry are at an advanced stage. With Pakistan's nuclear arsenal, Saudi Arabia's financial firepower, and Turkey's drones and combat experience, the trio could evolve into a formidable strategic force and become a headache for many countries in the region, including India.
Is an Islamic NATO quietly taking shape? That question is now being asked across global strategic circles, and especially in New Delhi. Turkey is reportedly seeking to join a defense pact between Pakistan and Saudi Arabia. If it happens, it could redraw security equations from South Asia to the Middle East. The pact, signed by Pakistan and Saudi Arabia in September, carries a powerful clause. Any attack on one member would be treated as an attack on all. This mirrors NATO's Article 5. Turkey, already a NATO member with the alliance's second-largest military, now wants in. According to Bloomberg, talks on Turkey's entry are at an advanced stage. Officials familiar with the discussions say a deal looks increasingly likely. The message is clear. A new security bloc may be emerging outside Western control. For India, the implications are hard to ignore. Pakistan would bring nuclear weapons, ballistic missiles, and large manpower. Saudi Arabia would add deep financial muscle. Turkey would contribute combat experience, drones, and a fast-growing defense industry. Together, it could become a serious strategic force.
See, India and Saudi Arabia, we have a wide-ranging strategic partnership, which has deepened in the last several years considerably. We expect that this strategic partnership will keep in mind mutual interest.
It's a game changer, right? I mean, and I think that it's significant for India in the sense that India, of course, has its own very close relationship with Saudi Arabia, and also, given the history of relations between India and Pakistan, there certainly is a chance that sometime in the future, India will attack Pakistan, and because of these terrorism concerns and the past precedent, it's a mutual defense pact between Saudi Arabia and Pakistan. I don't think that we should overstate the impact of that pact on India. Saudi Arabia has a strong relationship with India. It's not going to let this pact get in the way of Saudi-India relations. But the fact that Pakistan now has a formal, institutionalized alliance with Saudi Arabia, even as it continues to pursue its very strong partnerships with China and Turkey and other Arab Gulf states, as well as this resurgence in ties with the U.S., Pakistan has really, I think, been able to resurrect and fortify a lot of its alliances. And I think that poses some new challenges for India, which, at the end of the day, continues to be in a good place on its own. It can bank on its close partnerships with its partners in Europe, with Israel, with other key players in the Middle East, and with Russia, of course. But, I think that, because this has formally enshrined Pakistan in the security architecture of the Middle East.
Turkey's motivations are also telling. Ankara is hedging its bets as doubts grow over America's long-term reliability and President Donald Trump's commitment to NATO. By aligning with Pakistan and Saudi Arabia, Turkey is building an alternative power axis. This is also about influence. Turkey and Saudi Arabia were once rivals for leadership of the Sunni world. Now they are closing ranks. They are deepening defense cooperation and have even held their first ever naval meeting this week. Military ties between Turkey and Pakistan are already strong. Turkey is building warships for Pakistan's Navy. It has upgraded Pakistan's F-16 fighters. It shares drone technology with both Pakistan and Saudi Arabia. Ankara now wants them on board its fifth-generation fighter jet, Kaan. The timing matters for India. These talks happened just weeks after Operation Sindoor. While a ceasefire is in place, tensions remain high across the region. Pakistan is also facing instability on its western front, with strained ties with Afghanistan. There's another layer. Turkey and Qatar are attempting to mediate between Pakistan and Afghanistan. So far, those efforts have failed, but Ankara's regional ambitions are clear. Saudi Arabia, Turkey, and Pakistan also share positions on Iran, Syria, and Palestine. They prefer engagement with Tehran over confrontation. They back a Sunni-led Syria, and they support Palestinian statehood. No official confirmations have come so far. Turkey's defense ministry has declined comment. Pakistan has stayed silent. Saudi officials were unavailable. But the direction is unmistakable. A bloc driven by Turkish arms, Saudi cash, and Pakistani nukes could reshape regional balance.
That's all the time we have on this edition of Headlines at 8. Thanks for watching.